Welcome to the IT Collab, the podcast where the realms of community and collaboration intersect to revolutionize the delivery of IT managed services. I'm your host, Brandon Barnes. Whether you are an experienced IT professional seeking to expand your skill set or a visionary business leader in search of innovative solutions, we have you covered. Our experienced guests, comprising of industry veterans and thought leaders, will offer invaluable perspectives and insights to guide you through the dynamic landscape of IT. So, let us embark on this thrilling journey together. Let's go. All right, everyone, welcome today. My name is Brandon Barnes, and today I'm here with Nick Scarabosio. Did I say it right? I said it right? Scarabosio. Sorry if I messed it up. He is a co-founder and a coach for Culture to Cash. And he is a business coach that we've been talking to, and we wanted to bring him in today. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and explain deeper what you do than me reading off something on a piece of paper?
Yeah, no worries. So co-founder and coach, Culture to Cash. The story began back in 2004. Got done playing collegiate sports. I was a volleyball player and a rugby player.
Volleyball player?
Yeah, super common pairing of sports. And when I got out of college, found out I had no more athletic eligibility, went back home to San Francisco. Figured I'd get into the family business, third generation real estate agent and property manager. Did that for just over 16 years. While I was doing that, opened up a couple of fitness gyms. We started with a CrossFit. We had an all women's gym up in Washington State, and was also just coaching and consulting from a lifestyle, a health, a personal background.
Right.
Then got synced up with a large men's organization called Wake Up Warrior. Not only went through their program because I was dealing with some of my own personal demons and BS and all that stuff. So I synced up with them as a client, but they saw my background and said, "Hey, how'd you like to be a coach?" I said, "Yeah, I love coaching. It's always been part of my game." And fast forward 2017, 18, really saw that coaching and consulting was more of my passion than real estate was. I was successful by the outside means in real estate, made money, had what I needed, but just wasn't really called to it. And so started phasing out of real estate and property management, went all in on coaching and consulting. And then in 2022, myself and my two business partners who had known each other previously, who were all in coaching and consulting on our own, decided to get married, stop with the weird engagement we had rolling on, and we launched Culture to Cash. And what we do at Culture to Cash is we help owner-led businesses scale and grow, but from a perspective of people first. We're all people. We're all in the business of people, and checking boxes and making revenue and profits, all great. But how are you impacting yourself, your legacy, your employees' legacy? So we take a unique approach in that it's more than just the business. We're trying to increase two different things. Enterprise value, how much is your business worth? Can we make it worth more? Everyone needs an equity event at some point in their life to live the way they want to. But also, what's your human life value? What are you increasing for yourself, your people, your family? And when we can work on both of those things, sky's the limit.
It's true. I actually 100% agree with everything you're saying there. Like, you can't, it kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
If you're not improving yourself, then, the rest of it can be what it is. I don't even know how to explain it.
I mean, you see it time and time again. You see a lot of guys who are uber successful in business, and you don't want to be an ass. But you're like, guy looks miserable. He's 100 pounds overweight. He's like, what's going on? I mean, that was me.
Yeah.
I was 35 years old, 36 years old. I was 330 pounds, heavy alcoholic. Like,
really? From
a business perspective, Nick crushes it. From a personal life and what I felt of myself, I was broken.
Even when you own gyms?
Yeah, even. Yeah. I mean, that was part of the biggest part of the issue was, I was always a very strong guy being an athlete. So we were like, oh, he's just a power lifter or something like that. No, I was just heavily overweight and broken inside. And so I had to fix myself before I was really going to help fix everything else.
What was the breaking point?
Just realizing the path I was going on was destruction. And not only for myself, I was at the point personally and mentally, like, I didn't really care what would happen to me. But it hit me, 2 kids, wife, it's for them. And so if I couldn't start taking care of myself, I wasn't going to take care of them. One of my favorite quotes I share with clients a lot is the lion eats first. We've got to learn to be selfish before we can truly be selfless. Mm-hmm. And you see it time and time again with business owners, with men, women specifically, moms, they're always taking care of everyone else, and then they just get run into the ground. But we got to take care of ourselves, because it doesn't matter what we want to do. If we don't have the energy or the focus or the power to do it, it's all just a pipe dream.
It's funny. My kids, I tell them, like, I have 4 kids, right? And two are technically by marriage. But the point is, I always tell them, you can't love anyone else until you learn to love yourself. 100%. Or you have to take care of yourself before you can actually take care of others.
Yeah.
So, I 100% agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of times people get lost in that realm.
Yeah, it's easy.
So I guess that's really kind of one of your topics, right? Like, people aren't the problem, people are the solution.
Yeah.
Right.
I say it often because I don't care what business you're in. You're in the IT game, I'm in the coaching consulting. If you're a banker, if you're a contractor, it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. The one constant in all business is people. And most of us don't know how to deal with people who are crazy, irrational, and all think different things. But when we can understand humans on a deeper level, we can understand language, we can make business easy. And it's because we have that language. It's the one thing that differentiates us from every other creature on this planet, is we have the ability to language. So if we have that ability and we start to use it properly, and we invest in our people, we invest in ourselves, and we start to leverage people, well, then all the other stuff becomes easy.
It's funny. This is a technical podcast, an IT podcast, I guess, right? But I hope it goes deeper than that. And I hope you understand, like, I work with a bunch of people that don't communicate.
I've worked with some SaaS companies, some tech companies, so I get it.
They don't want to talk to people. They want to be hiding in an office, not talking to people. And here I am. It's funny when I'm the one that's the loud one talking. I tell people are like, oh, you're in the military. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, you did IT? And I'm like, no. I was in the infantry, like a completely different game. But I love the problem solving aspect of it. And I love helping other people kind of come up. Like, I want to help, helping your employees is huge. And I think you see this even on the implement. I'm talking like high level manager style, but really I can tell a difference when someone's struggling at home. They're really not making a difference at work, or they're worse. And at the same point, the same thing with leadership, right? Yeah. So, or business owners at the same time. It's true though. Can you explain to me a little more on the lie of the hustle and the grind?
Yeah, the lie of the hustle and the grind. So I grew up, as I'm sure most people listening did, in that culture of work hard, do what you're told, work your butt off. You'll be taken care of in the end. You'll get your gold watch at the end of retirement, and everything's going to be sunshine, unicorn, and rainbows.
It's fake.
But it's a broken model. Yeah, that worked in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s when industrial revolution was occurring. But we're in a completely different game now. So, one of the things I was exposed to in the recent past is we're in the 4th industrial revolution right now. And that started with the invention of the computer. We were now given this tool that has made work possible globally without any issue. It used to be your marketplace existed about as far as your car could go. Maybe you were able to do some things with telephones and fax machines. It still blows my mind those things are even still around. But with the invention of the computer, we hit this whole new level of engagement. And it's not about who works the hardest. It's who works smart, who works effectively, who's clear on their path, their vision, their strategy. So if we can start to use this tool, it really is the most amazing thing that's happened in the human society. Is like we all walk around with these iPhones in our pocket, and we probably use 1% of their ability. Mm-hmm. But I know guys who are running entire multi-million-dollar businesses from just their phone. And systems and tools and technology and software. And when you can do that, you still got to work hard. You still got to hustle. You still got to grind at times. But it's not where I was in 2016, 17, where it's hustle and grind to the point where you're miserable, you're broken, you're probably going to have a heart attack in a few years. Yep. Like, work and use what's in front of us.
I think, they growing up, that was the motto, right? In the from those of us that are from the 1900s.
Yeah. Yeah. So
as my kids say,
1900ers, as my kids like to say.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you say that. Like, I think it's completely shifted where, you're supposed to show up to your job 9 to 5, get your 401k, do something different. And I think you could completely use technology to your benefit. But I think, honestly, what's funny is we run into a lot of companies in the IT realm, and I'm spinning it back there a little bit just because they don't see the benefit yet. Like if we take a spreadsheet from somewhere and actually show them the analytics of what they're purchasing, why they're purchasing, they didn't even know how much their product was costing, right? And just to see like what that can bring you. What's your opinion on AI? Maybe it's, people, the fear of taking over jobs.
Yeah, it will take over some jobs, but that's not going to be AI's fault. That's going to be the human's fault. One of my partners, Corwin, has a great analogy he makes. He says, those who use to leverage AI are going to make house cats out of the rest of the human beings. It's still a system. It's still a tool. So it needs a human operator.
Right.
I've spent a lot of time deep diving into AI to wonder how I could use it to make my experience better for my clients. How do I make my life easier? But the one commonality is I still got to drive it. I can teach it a lot of things, but there's still a human component that's going to be required. So when people say, oh, it's the end of us. No, it's the end of those who refuse to level up. Level up, learn how to use it, and you're just going to become so much more effective. And that's that shift from an IR3 mentality to IR4, Industrial Revolution 3 verse 4, is if you learn to use these tools, I wonder where our kids are going to be in 10 years, not even 50 like people used to think. Like in 10 years, my kid is going to do things that are going to blow my socks off.
True.
Yeah. And use these tools. I love them. I think
it's fear driven, right?
For sure.
And I think it's always happened over time, especially when technology or things change. I even look at a friend of mine that used to work for Dex. Yeah. Remember like the yellow pages?
Card, yeah.
No, the yellow pages, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like they had salesmen. Dex and the phone books and all this other stuff. And like, where did it go? It's gone. It's gone. It's completely gone. Yeah. And the people are still surviving. They moved on. They worked for other places. They did something different. They moved up their game. I think that it's not something to fear. I appreciate it. I appreciate that it gives me more ideas because I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
But by any means, I can throw some stuff in there and take my bullet points and throw out some ideas. I'm not going to use it verbatim, but I think it's actually amazing. Yeah. I think it can actually make my job faster or better depending on what I use it. But yeah, human interaction is pretty cool too.
Yeah. And we've seen it happen before is the interesting part, right? Not specifically AI, but the revolution of technology. When
right.
the car first came out.
What happened to all the horses?
But here's the thing. Everyone says, what happened to all the horses? It's still a $4 to $5 billion a year industry.
For the horses?
It's not that it disappeared. It shifted what it was. It became a lot less about the actual day-to-day, more about the sport and the ownership. And so it's still there. They pivoted and they did it really well. Yeah, the car became extremely important. We're seeing even with cars. Are they
electric
important now? Yeah. We got electric. We got people working from home. So it's not, technology doesn't replace, technology evolves.
I think it's funny when I see mechanics and they're like worried about jobs. And it's like, are you kidding me? My wife drives an electric car, right? Like, how many tires we replace? Stupid thing. Yeah. Because it's heavier and it goes to, like, especially with the braking. There's still things that you're going to have to replace and fix.
Yeah.
And I even see guys on TikTok or wherever replacing battery coils and making things different. And then people are, another one I think people get freaked out on. I was like, I think it's so cool just based on the fact that you can take even an electric car that you can put like the motors on every wheel. Yeah. So you can completely redesign the dang car to whatever you want it to look like because there's no engine in the front or, whatever it is. The only reason I do that is because that's what they're used to looking like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just keeping an open mind to that kind of stuff.
And being willing to innovate.
Yeah.
And innovation comes in a lot of different forms. There's minor innovation, major. There's radical that we don't even understand. I'll use the iPhone again as an example. It's been just over, 12, 13 years.
Right.
We feel like it's a day-to-day part of life, but it was a radical innovation when it came out.
Our kids don't even fathom that.
Yeah. They don't imagine touch tone or even a rotary dial or anything
pager.
like that. Yeah, pager, right? Like I remember being a sixth grader and learning pager code. How do I use numbers to write words? I thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread, but now it's everybody's texting everything. If anything, we're losing the ability to language and communicate because no one wants to talk on the phone anymore. So
or the different language our kids use, but even even when we were younger, though, I remember our parents thinking we were crazy.
Yeah.
And now it's even evolved more. It's like, wow.
Yeah. It's the cycle of it all.
All right. So a couple quick questions for you on this. As a business coach, we're in the technical realm. What do you see as some top problems in the technical IT realm for your customers?
Yeah. So problem number one is a lack of understanding. Again, being human beings who we language everything, and that's how we interpret, that's how we create it. Most business owners have zero clue what IT means past the guy who fixes my computer. They don't realize all the back end work that goes into making one program talk to another, or making sure things have uptime and that they're not failing all the time. So it's just, how do we create that language so they see the value? Mm-hmm. And this is a problem in any business. That's marketing 101, right? Being able to make an offer people understand.
True.
But because we have that lack of ability to understand, I think there's an inherent fear around it. So we have to figure out a way to bring people in just enough so they understand the big problem they actually have.
People fear what they don't understand.
Exactly.
Right. And 100% agree. I think that a lot of times I just met with a company and just explaining to them their whole environment and them going for the first time being, oh, so that's how it works?
Yeah.
Then we go over some bills and like when they don't know, they're paying for this and they're paying for that and they don't know why.
Yeah.
And explaining why is huge, right? I think that's know what the heck it does. It's just almost like a marketing or sales. Like you want to know what things do in your business.
Yeah.
Kind of important. What else? What other things you got for me here?
I think the next one is, it goes back to that IR3, IR4 mentality. Is a lot of business owners in the small to medium size, it's, well, this is how we've always done it.
Yeah.
and the problem with that is similar to the AI conversation is, well, you can continue to do it that way, but the market is going to outpace you. Your competitors are going to integrate technology, and you may still have a very good business. Right. But you will never reach the capacity or potential that you had. So you've got to be open to innovation and then use technology to just make it work faster, make it work quicker, and start saving you time on the things that hold you back.
That's actually been pretty huge recently. I think I've seen a huge increase in that with process automation. Mm-hmm. Like you said, the people they don't want to change.
Yeah.
So, for instance, a lady that owns an orthodontist firm or whatever it was, they go and she would take the spreadsheet, have like 3 other people check it, which took time. Next thing you know, it's like 8 to 12 hours later within the week that they went through so they could close the books for the next week. And then obviously we understanding it from our perspective, but then having the smart people here or, wherever I work to go ahead and, tweak the buttons, do this, turn this knob, automate it, and they're down to like a 2-hour process.
Yeah.
How much time, or like going back to like, how much time did that just save you?
Yeah. Which is the number one resource we have. That's the only non-renewable resource, right? Is time. So everyone's heard time is money. Yeah, we don't take it as heavily as we should. It truly is the number one thing we got to focus on getting back.
100% true.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one. What about security? Do you have any security things out there?
Yeah, I mean, the downside of security is it usually doesn't pop on everyone's radar until it's
on the
radar. I don't have my emails, or someone got my bank account, and then they're, well, did I pay that weird cyber insurance waiver thing?
Yeah.
Did I ignore it? So I think it's going to become even more of an issue that's going to be very prevalent, again, as these kids are getting more technological and people are just getting more and more savvy. The ability for them to take control of your stuff's getting even crazier. I mean, remember 10 years ago, 15 years ago, AOL comes out and you get your email from your long lost cousin in Nigeria with 10 billion for you. You're not getting emails like that anymore. It's all way more technical. I mean, Jeff Bezos, I think we would all say, is one of the most technical people in the world. And he had some cybersecurity thing last year based off a text message in his phone, and he clicked the link and all of a sudden,
everything.
It's D-Day.
Right.
Yeah. So security is it's a huge problem, but I think it's one that most business owners want to try and pull the wool over their eyes and say, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not big enough, or I don't have what they need, but it's got to be paid attention to.
And it's interesting you say not too big or too small in that realm. We even had a 3-person company. It was a farm, and someone hacked into their information, their QuickBooks and their other stuff, because they had the same passwords, the same everything, right? Like we tried to warn them all the things MFA, and they still got they were pissed. Like they got ransomed for like $10,000.
Yeah,
no one wants to pay that,
No. Well, so, look at Vegas. They had the most technological systems in the world, and they ended up paying a couple $100 million to get into it. So if you don't think you're a target as a small to medium business owner, you're wrong. Yeah, everyone's getting targeted. Everyone. Even like mom and pops, like personal stuff, people can hack it. Now, companies are a little bit more. The other one with the security too is the payments. So someone actually gets in your system. Have you seen that one? No.
You haven't seen this one? There's a couple new ones. There's one right now where they're actually so if they get into your Azure or AWS environment, so it's like an open bill, right? Yeah. So what they'll do is they'll actually hack an engineer or an administrator of sorts if you're not locked down, which still, it's insane. They get in there, find it out, and they have basically they run a script and just build their own hacking environment. Oh. And this ramp up all the processing speed to try and break through some other pieces, and they'll ramp up your bill. And we've seen them, 80,000, 250,000 from I heard from other companies out here, they were up in the 250 to the 500. Can you imagine the bill from Microsoft? Yeah. And they're you just dropped $200,000. It's just stupid. And then honestly, I think the more interesting piece to it is all these companies you pay through, they still get the kickback. That's it. They still get their fee. They don't care. They don't care. The credit card processor's taking their fee. So even if you get a majority of it back, you're losing money on something highly avoidable. Well, cybersecurity insurance. Yeah. Now they're making you jump through hoops, just big time. So you can't. We have a lot of people coming to us and saying, can you please help sign off on this for your cybersecurity insurance? And I'm only if the things are done. Yeah, if you're I'm not going to put my name on it if it's not done. It's not complicated stuff. Make sure you have MFA, make sure you have this, make sure you have that. And it's not anything bad, but people are just don't. I always ask, do you have cybersecurity insurance? No, well, no. You should probably consider that. Please. And it's one of those things, unfortunately, language, again, insurance, no one likes paying insurance until the day you need it and it's there. So I would highly recommend getting it. Okay. What is there anything else you hear out there? So the 3 things you got from the tech side. Yeah, it really comes down to a lack of understanding and the impact it has. And then, specifically, a lot of the companies we work with are what I like to call blue collar to gray collar. So trades, hands in the dirt type guys. And they don't think it applies to them, and it's not true. Because most businesses, I'd say 99.9% are running on some type of tech stack at this point. Yeah. Doesn't mean it's a crazy stack, but you do have QuickBooks and you got Gmail and you got Microsoft. So you need security. You absolutely need security. They just don't know. Yeah. And unfortunately, when they become aware of it is about 10 weeks too late. So I think the thing we always say is they don't care until they care. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're calling us and they're this happened. We're I can prevent the future. I can't change the past. We do. Yeah. We really morphed into that, proactive support because it's super needed to, keep it going down the tracks. Yeah. Because no one cares about it. Until That's awesome. Tell us more about the coaching. What's something you can tell people, or I guess business owners, what's the importance of coaching? Why? Yeah. So, from a general broad answer, coaching and consulting, pull any name out of the hat of who you look to as a successful entrepreneur, business owner, titan of business. They will all mention a coach, consultant, or mentor that helped them get there. Yeah. So just from a general broad perspective, no one gets there alone. We don't know everything. We need a sounding board. We need someone to bounce things back in off of us and say hey, is this a good idea? No, it's a terrible idea. Don't do that. What about this?
from a much more detailed standpoint of what we do at Culture to Cash is we know because we've watched it happen over and over. And, it comes from practices hundreds of years old where it's clear vision and strategy, a rough roadmap, an area of where you're going to go focus allows us to be much more diligent and tactical. So we start to narrow it down into what does 90 days, a year, 3 years, 10 years look like. And when we start to see the fuzzy targets, we can really bring them into focus with actual work is what's the team doing? Why are they doing it? How are they doing it? Okay, hey, we've hit our roadblock. We don't have a tech stack that supports this idea of where we're going to be in 3 years. Great. Well, start building now. Don't wait till you're at the breaking point and now it's a rush and it gets done poorly. Make sure you're doing it in a progression to help support. So coaching and consulting is just your ability to have someone who helps you fill and see the blind spots.
Could you give me an example of like a success story of yours?
Yeah. Let's see, who we want to start with. So let's talk software. So we had a client in the software as a service. They were an estimation software for contractors, and they've been in business 7 years now, 7 or 8.
Yeah.
They've taken zero money. They have bootstrapped an entire organization, and it's been tough. Because, there's a lot of people in the tech space that want to give you money. Mm-hmm. But they've known from the get-go, if they could bootstrap everything up together and get to those $10, $15 million a year recurring revenue marks, that they'd be highly successful. So what strategy and planning allowed them to do was chunk it down into manageable pieces. Hey, what's minimum viable product we need when we started? Okay, we got that. What's phase 2 look like? And it's just an ability to see the end game without getting caught up in the day-to-day. So other ones, our clients on average, there's some goals that we're always trying to hit from a business perspective. Our promise to our clients is in 12 to 24 months, doubling your net operating income. But more importantly, having a 3x industry leading average of profit margin, and then an 8x in their enterprise value. So that time when you do go to sell, you actually get the money you need to live the life you desire.
So pending they actually do the work.
Well, that's the hardest part. If it's as if I was a nutritionist, I can tell you what to eat and write you a great plan, but I can't put the food in your mouth. So you still have to do the work, but we're very hands-on at Culture to Cash. We say the magic happens between the quarterlies, where, the integration process is the hardest part, but it's also the most important. So a lot of coaching and consulting out there is very quarterly based. I don't think that's new to a lot of people, but most of them would say, Brandon, good job. Here's your plan for the next 90 days. I'll see you on day 91. Best of luck. Day 2 to day 89 is where I'm doing the majority of my work. The planning sessions are fun.
It's interesting. I've heard a lot recently as I'm digging in personally, and you tend to pay attention more when you're actually paying for the service.
Yes.
Right. So if a free coach really wouldn't do, not that it wouldn't do you better, but sometimes when you're actually putting your money where your mouth is, you tend to follow through with said things. So I hope,
we say, when people call me, all right, Nick, what does it look like? And I give them the price, the jaw typically hits the ground. And I tell them, I go, look, if I gave it to you for free, your chance of success is almost zero.
Yeah.
Like, think about the last thing you received for free that you got massive value out of. And there's not a lot of those stories. No. So we charge a lot because I want it to sting you when you write my check every month and go, okay, well, we better start implementing this plan. But we believe so well in our results, and we've done it in over 100 plus companies and 49 different industries at this point. We know it works. It's science. It's not theory. It's not a guessing game. It works, but you got to do the work, and it's hard.
Always put in the work.
Yeah.
It's always where it's at, right? Last thing here, passion and purpose fueled.
Yeah. So back to my story is, I was without passion and purpose in 2010 to 2018, and I had all the numbers down, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. So a big part of our initial conversations with clients is, what is this for? Mm-hmm. There's got to be a deeper why. There's some great resources out there. Simon Sinek is a great one. He talks about start with why. And it's hard, right? It's because it's not tangible. So people struggle to do it. But when you can truly align your passion and purpose in what you do every day, then those rough days, those weeks where you're just questioning, why do I do this? Why do I put myself through this pain every day? You can look and go, okay, that's why. It doesn't make the pain go away, but it just keeps you focused and keeps you diligent on doing the work. So if you can't sit there and go, this is the purpose of why I do what I do, what my core purpose of me as an individual and my company is, that's where you just need to stop. Go, okay, hold on, I got to figure this out before I go any further. And it's why you see everyone in their life typically has a couple of entrepreneurs they've seen who seem to be the guy that can really build up great companies, but they keep burning them down, so they get bored. They're not passion and purpose aligned, and they try to start something new and just watch a $1 million, a $5 million, a $10 million company just tank. And you're like, what are you doing, man?
I think just being an IT guy, right? Just observing companies, a lot of them. The ones that succeed usually is when the owner can delegate.
Yeah.
And let people run their own things or trust them with certain areas. I'm not saying, it's always that way, but I see a lot of they're able to delegate properly or they hire the right people.
Yeah.
Or I see companies that really just are stuck in the spot and it's always the owner.
It's always the bottleneck's always at the top of the bottom.
It's always at the top, right?
So, you mentioned earlier you're in the tech field and you see guys who would much rather not talk to people.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it. In the tech, you got a coder or an engineer who's amazing at what he does. He'd rather throw some headphones on, turn the lights off,
get his work done,
and just rip out lines of code. Great. That's his passion. That's his purpose. Make sure you're doing everything you can to put him in that place.
Yep.
But what we see is the problem is when we don't understand passion and purpose, hey, it's time for us to put a lead engineer in place. Well, make it Brandon. He's our best coder. Whoa, that does not mean he's a good person to lead, to manage. So find out that person who does want to be in a leadership role. If you're the CEO, there's two types of CEOs. There's the very operational focused technical guy. And then there's the visionary, the one that you can't get to shut up for ideas. So it's understanding which one that person is. Hey, if you're the visionary, great. Well, I got to bring someone in underneath to be the filter to the team. Otherwise, you're going to overwhelm everyone. If you're the operations guy, great. I need to bring someone in who's very vision focused and can help with the growth. So it's just understanding what are you great at, or referred to differently as zone of genius. And how do you spend 80% of your time in that? No one's going to be in there 100% of the time. We all have parts of our job we hate, no matter how much we love our job. But if I can spend 80-20 in my zone of genius versus 20% not, everything grows faster.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do. It's interesting. I 100% understand what you're talking about. Especially you start doing disc assessments and understanding people and how they communicate. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a big part of what we do. I know I've mentioned to you in the past is the first thing I do with every team I get in is a personality profile assessment of the leadership team.
Yeah.
I know before I walk into a room of 5, 8, 10 people, who's the numbers guy, who's the analytics guy, who's the one who's going to have 1,000,001 ideas during the session that I've got to rein in. But it's great because that's their superpower. Let them have their superpowers and don't force them to do things they're not good at.
100% true. Well, Nick, I appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you having you on today, and maybe we'll have you on again in the future, man.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the things that people do to make these things successful. Have a good one.